Hey guys, what's up? So, I don't know if you're familiar with Derek Smart. He is the CEO of the independent gaming studio 3000 AD. He created the Battlecruiser games. I'm gonna get into a little bit more detail about his persona later on. But he wrote this quite controversial opinion piece on his blog about Star Citizen. And I'm just gonna read out what he wrote and then later on try to fit it into the bigger picture and share my opinion on it. He's saying, and I'm quoting, "Without disrespect to anyone, I'm just going to say it. It is my opinion that this game, as it has been pitched, will never get made, ever. There isn't a single publisher or developer on this planet who could build this game as pitched, let alone for anything less than 150 million. The original vision, which I backed in 2012, yes, that was doable, but the new vision, not a chance." Now, first of all, who says that Chris Roberts can't get 150 million? He's at what, 84, 87 or whatever it is right now. And I think they're probably still steadily growing. So 150 million is not that far out, but it is obviously quite controversial what he's saying. And I wanted to look a bit more into this person, who's Derek Smart, beyond the obvious that I quoted in the beginning. So if you look into that, it's actually quite interesting. He describes himself at various points as an eccentric and very vocal personality. In an interview with Computer Gaming World, he said about his online persona, "Sometimes when I get online and it's quiet and I see something that attracts my attention, I'll post just to piss these guys off. That's why I do it. Because I'm in a good mood that day and I go there and I start trouble." Now, he's a troll. Obviously he's a troll. It's not very smart, Derek, to say things like this. And I hate personalities like that. I think it's just stupid and not very productive, and it's just inappropriate to behave like that. Obviously, what he's doing with Star Citizen, with this comment that I read in the beginning, falls into that gap, and he's just trolling, and he tries to gain attention and put like loads of clicks on his blog, which he probably achieved with this. But at the same time, I feel like there is a little bit of a core of truth in what he's saying, and I'm gonna go into that in this video, just break down my thoughts why I think it's not completely wrong what he's saying in this particular case. Now, the games that Derek Smart worked on are mainly known for being clunky, having like terrible user interfaces and hardly being playable at all. He also worked on other games that never got finished and promised loads of stuff that never got made, so he does have experience with that. But beyond the quote that I read in the beginning, he also said that the scope of Star Citizen surpasses the one of GTA 5. Now, that is true. It is a more ambitious project, I would say, just in terms of its scope. But you also have to see like that GTA 5 is kind of the result of all the previous GTA games. They didn't go out like Rockstar and the first game they came out with was GTA 5. You know, it's basically an 18-year project, right? With GTA 3 coming out in 1997, which was the big, huge open world 3D game that we know, and is basically like the grandfather of GTA 5. So it is obviously quite ambitious what Chris Roberts is trying to do with Star Citizen, like just coming out with this gigantic project as the first thing. You could argue that he has loads of experience in making space sims. Yes, he made Wing Commander, but all that doesn't really count in my personal opinion, because the scope of a Star Citizen is just completely not comparable with the scope of a Wing Commander game. It's a very different game and a very different ambition. Coming back to that article from Derek Smart, he keeps going on about the FPS module being delayed or / put on hold. It wasn't really clear. He's actually saying that it wasn't actually a delay. He thinks that it is impossible to make it work with the current framework. He also criticizes then CryEngine and says that this engine is not really suitable for a project like this. Now, I'm not an engine programmer and I don't know that much about CryEngine, but I probably have to agree with him there, because I think when Chris Roberts decided to go with CryEngine, he couldn't really foresee where Star Citizen was going, right? The scope, the size, that he would reach literally all stretch goals and have to make them happen. So now he's in that situation where the game is based on the engine and he has to make it real. If you know anything about that, like if you know of the constraints of CryEngine, why it would work or why it would not work, then leave all that down in the comment section below. A lot of people are more knowledgeable than me in that field, so it would be great to hear your opinion. Now, nonetheless, I personally don't think it's impossible. It must be possible. I mean, we've seen the gameplay of the first-person shooter Module. it looked not that bad. It actually looked quite good. So it must be physically possible, but it is definitely like a massive undertaking to make it happen. And what do you need to bring it to life? You need time, and with time you need money, right? So, and that's, I think, why we keep seeing ship after ship after ship, which basically only sit in the hangar and look pretty, because it generates money. And Chris Roberts knows that it's not enough what he has. Coming back to what Derek Smart said in the beginning, like under 150 million, a project like that is probably not doable, and I have to agree with him there. Now, that bugs me a little bit, because I would love to see more ships actually being able to fly, because to me it feels like we're getting so many ships and they all look incredibly pretty and definitely push the boundaries of modeling and like 3D real-time graphics like to a next level. But why do we not see more of the ships that we've been given, whatever, 8 months, 10 months ago? Why are those not slowly becoming available in Arena Commander? And maybe I'm missing something here, leave that down in the comment section below. But I just have the feeling that we're just getting ship after ship after ship. And while, yes, it generates money for the project, like bringing all this to life at the level of perfectionism that Chris Roberts is aiming for is, I don't want to say impossible, but it is such an insane task, right? Because every part of every spaceship has to make sense and it has to function. And while that is very fascinating, like in the vision itself, I completely admire that. And I think it is literally like a new level of a virtual world. But it is very, very hard to achieve. And I'm at a point where I start to doubt that all that can actually be done, unless, you know, you aim for like a 20-30 year project. If you do that, obviously it's not a problem, but I think most people want to see a game that is actually a persistent universe and that works in the next 3 years, 4 years, maybe something like that. Another interesting piece of news that I read in relation to that is that Cloud Imperium Games executive producer Alex Mayberry has apparently left the studio around June 2015. This is an information taken from his LinkedIn page. It was not officially confirmed by Cloud Imperium Games, but on his LinkedIn page it states that he's only working in the studio until June 2015. Now, obviously staff often comes and goes, especially in like video game development. It's a quite common thing, but an executive producer leaving in the middle of a project is quite a big thing, and is always an indication that not everything is going as perfect as it looks to the outside world. So there are all these things that kind of come together that start to put a little bit of a shadow over the clean image that Star Citizen always had. And to me, it was like the perfect crowdfunding project, right? It got so many support, it has reached an incredible amount of money, it's very successful, everything they show looks really, really good, but at this point, it just feels a bit repetitive. What we get is repetitive, and rather than seeing progress and seeing new ships flying, seeing the FPS module being released on time, which didn't happen, it kind of feels like it's stagnating a little bit. And generally, like, the release policy of like bringing out the game in modules is a quite interesting point, and I understand that all the modules that they are releasing are alpha and really early stages, but I mean, everything they have released so far was properly unfinished. Like, it felt unfinished and not really done. If you just look at the hangar module, right, it is glitchy, the guy moves in a weird way, some of the stairs don't work, and all functions of the ship are not there. And again, yes, I know it's alpha, I completely understand that, but I would have hoped that if they release the game in modules, that they finish a module at least properly, then put it out, then work on the next module until it's presentable and actually done, whatever that means, then bring it out. It's the same with the Arena Commander. I mean, it's a while ago that I played it, but I found it quite hard to play. And I did play all the old games. Like, I used to play Wing Commander, and that felt very intuitive and smooth in its gameplay. It just was a joy to control that spaceship, and in Arena Commander I personally found everything like a bit sluggish, and it didn't really work for me. Also, I read a lot of comments of people who complained that the client launcher killed their install several times. So you download an update and it just crashes your install. So you have to delete everything, download everything again. So again, yes, it is alpha, but I personally just want to see all these modules being a little bit further in the development. And I know that's a very unpopular opinion, and probably people are going to bash me about this. That's fine, you know, everyone's entitled to their opinion. I know that Star Citizen has loads of hardcore fans who say, like, we don't give a fuck how this game feels right now, it will be done, and they believe until death, you know, in this project. But I think it must be allowed to raise these kind of questions and just open them up for discussion. Another point that I already touched on before, but just to continue this list, is that they keep selling these ships. It's a pure money-making machine. The ships don't have the full functionality. They're not even flying. And it seems to consume a lot of the focus of the team. Obviously, all these ships have an insane amount of detail, and it takes up a lot of energy, which might be of better use in other areas. I mean, the FPS module was on hold, is delayed. Maybe that's actually a good sign. Looking at all the stuff that I'm criticizing now, maybe they did put a delay on the FPS module because they didn't feel it's ready yet. Maybe they realized that the hunger module, the arena commander, is not fully done and they want to fix that mistake. And when they bring out the FPS module, it should work properly. Maybe they're doing the right thing. I don't know. All this thing is mostly speculation, but I just wanted to share my opinion. Now, in conclusion, I think personally that Star Citizen and Chris Roberts, they will not achieve all their goals. Like, it is, I kind of agree with Derek Smart that it is not really possible to make this vision that he's selling come true, at least not in the foreseeable future. Like I said, maybe in 20 years it can happen, but at that point the engine is outdated and the game looks shit to tomorrow's standards, basically. However, I still believe in his vision, and I really want to support him, and all the support that he gets proves him right? So obviously crowdsourcing is a risky game, and it can lead to nothing or it can lead to something absolutely incredible. But if I look at most crowdsourcing projects that came out in the past, most of them didn't lead to the expected outcome or what people hoped for. There are exceptions, obviously, but most of the time it's just not that easy. Like, it didn't reinvent the game industry like we hoped in the beginning. But then again, Star Citizen is a special case. The amount of money they made is just insane, and it kind of stands out already in so many ways. So like I said, I really hope he can make it happen. I really hope I am wrong and Derek Smart is wrong. I mean, Derek Smart is just a troll, right? Let's just kind of settle that once and for all. This guy is a moron, to be honest. But again, in this particular case, there might be a little bit of truth to what he's saying, but with the talented and experienced team that Chris Roberts has, and with the strong vision and the amazing fan base, I haven't given up hope, and I hope we're gonna see an amazing game, and I hope he will make everything happen that he is promising right now. Obviously, the next big date is the big Star Citizen panel and the interviews coming from Gamescom, which is coming up. So I really hope that we're gonna get some clarification there, and that actually people who will interview Chris Roberts challenge him a little bit, you know, and ask the tough questions. Why is the FPS module being on hold, right? Why is that? What is the exact detail, and how do you see this vision coming to life in an engine like CryEngine? And if you have really knowledgeable people there who know about these engines, then hopefully this can actually lead to a few answers. Guys, these are my thoughts. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, leave me a like. I'm sure a lot of you guys think this video is very controversial and my opinions are controversial and I have no idea what I'm talking about. That's fine, but then don't hate and just hit the dislike button and be a cock about it. Just leave your thoughts in the comment section down below. We can have a constructive discussion going on. That's really the purpose of this channel, have a constructive discussion. So guys, if you enjoyed the video, you can also subscribe to my channel, you can share it, you can do all the good stuff. Otherwise, take care, and I'll see you guys next time. I'm out. Bye.